Hey guys, John V here from PhoneArena. Right now you're watching our in-depth video review of the Samsung Galaxy Note 2, the US version. Now this particular model we're checking out is actually the T-Mobile variant of the handset, and it's going to offer HSP plus connectivity. It's also coming out to AT&T, Verizon, and Sprint, and those three particular models are going to have 4G LTE connectivity, so you can expect faster data speeds with that device. But this is an upgraded device from the Note from not too long ago, and it features a 5.5-inch HD Super AMOLED display. You'll also have that quad-core Samsung Exynos processor with 2 GB of RAM, and of course, just like before, it's going to feature an updated S Pen stylus to give it some added functionality. We're going to find out if all the improvements and enhancements made with the Galaxy Note 2 are going to be worth it. So looking at the Galaxy Note 2, there's nothing really spectacular about its design just because it's basically a stretched out version of the Samsung Galaxy S3. But a nice thing about this device is that it maintains its predecessor's overall size, and that's the fact that it is packing a larger display this time around. So its length, width, and also thickness remains the same. As far as holding it though, it's still a little bit unwieldy, almost cumbersome to hold with one hand. Very wide handset, so it's more in line to being used with two hands, obviously. As far as the construction, it's typical Samsung. It's decent with its all-plastic body. It has a nice clean look, especially the white one here. It doesn't exhibit that much dirt and debris. And the silver trim bezel adds a little bit of a balanced appeal to the handset. But overall, as we said, nothing really spectacular. But the biggest thing about it is just the sheer size. It's still something that really captures the attention of people. Another thing that stands out with the Samsung Galaxy Note 2 is its larger display. It's a 5.5-inch HD Super AMOLED panel in there with a resolution of 720 by 1280 pixels. So that is slightly lower than the WXGA resolution from its predecessor. But seeing that instead of using the pentile matrix arrangement from before, it uses a slightly modified RGB subpixel matrix arrangement, so it's a little bit more favorable. It doesn't really affect its overall detail and clarity just because we're still able to make out even the tiniest of details. For example, here on the website, even the fine text right there we're able to make out. So no problem in terms of detail. Very nice. On top of that, seeing that it is Super AMOLED panel at heart, it has all the qualities we love about it. There's nice saturated tones, which gives it its nice glow. It's not quite as overly saturated as before, and kind of in line to a little bit more color reproduction that we see out of LCD panels, but still saturated nonetheless. And on top of that, you have some nice wide viewing angles, some high contrast, and that deep black color that really makes it stand out. However, though, it's still a little bit difficult to make out in sunlight, in outdoor conditions with the sunlight present, just because it tends to wash out. This time, there's no change with the Galaxy Note 2's button configuration. It maintains its international siblings version here with the physical home button surrounded by the capacitive menu and back buttons. Likewise, above the screen, you have the earpiece itself. You have the light and proximity sensors right here. You have a front-facing 1.3 megapixel camera, which has the ability to shoot 720p videos. And over here, you can see it's kind of discreet. You have the LED notification light. In their usual spots, we have the physical volume control on the left edge, while on the right, you have the dedicated power button. They're pronounced, and they have also a really great responsive feel. Meanwhile, on the top trim of the handset, we have the 3.5mm headset jack, the noise cancellation microphone right there, while on the opposite side, you have the micro USB port for charging data connectivity, and you also get a video out functionality with the aid of an MHL adapter, and along near that, you have also the standard microphone. In the same spot as last time, the Samsung Galaxy Note 2 has its S Pen discreetly tucked away in the bottom left corner in the rear here. And this is an updated version of the S Pen from before, just because it's more elongated and has a sturdier build to it, and kind of emulates the look of a pencil, the style of a pencil. So when you hold it in your hand, your fingers, it has a more natural feel. You have the button here, which we'll talk about in a moment. It has different functions, and the nice thing about it, it measures. It's really accurate and has a lot of sensitivity when it comes to pressure as you're pushing down on it. When you remove the handset from its bay, it automatically launches this S Pen specific functions with the handset, which we'll talk about more in detail later. The other cool thing is that if you walk away without putting back the S Pen in its slot, you're going to be notified about it on the handset. So it's pretty nice it has that feature. On the surface, the experience on the Samsung Galaxy Note 2 should be very familiar. That's just because it is the Samsung TouchWiz Nature UX on here. The same thing that we've seen already on the Samsung Galaxy S3. So it has the same set of personalization that it has to offer. So you have the wealth of widgets, and nothing really different about its look and feel. The app panel's laid out in that traditional grid-like view, while the notifications panel, we gain access to some quick connectivity features directly from there. And on top of that, if you turn it on, turn it off with the lock panel, you have the quick applications here to quickly launch them directly from the lock screen, and you have that very nature-like appeal when you unlock the handset. So nothing really different about it. Still very nice, and of course it's complemented by the other features that Android has to offer with the TouchWiz Nature UX has to offer. For example, you have S Voice, you have S Beam, you have all the features that we find with the TouchWiz Nature UX, so that's nice. But the greatest thing about the Galaxy Note 2 is that it is featuring Android 4.1.1 Jelly Bean out of the box, so you get the most up-to-date Android experience. So you get the Google Voice Search, the enhanced Google Voice Search option, and of course if you hold down the home button itself, you could gain access to Google Now itself. So with the original Samsung Galaxy Note, we're introduced to the S Pen and its various functions, but with the Note 2 here, it's been extended and enhanced, and we'll quickly show you some of the new features that it has to offer. So first and foremost, in terms of productivity, again, we have the S Note application, which is great if you're going to be jotting down notes, if you want to write something, or if you just want to doodle around, which is pretty nice. And of course, with the S Pen, it measures different degrees of pressure, so you get either very faint strokes, light ones like that, or very dark ones, depending on how hard you press it. And on top of that, you have additional functionality available to you here. For example, you have shape match, so if you want to draw shapes and you want to be nice and straight, you have that flexibility as well there. You have even things like a formula match, so you could do different computations if you wanted to. And finally, you have also handwriting to text recognition, so you have that. It's pretty nice, but there are some additional features we're going to show you about it. One of the new features I find with the Samsung Galaxy Note 2 that's very useful is the new S Pen cropping tool. So basically, whatever you're doing, if you want to crop something that's on the display, all you gotta do is just hold down the button on the S Pen itself and just outline what you want to do. So it's great. So if you're browsing the web, you see something that interests you, you could actually just just crop it like so. And from here, we're going to be given the option of doing a bunch of different things. We could either send to the scrapbook, S Note application, or we could email it, do whatever we want, and it's just nice having that flexibility. Another cool feature found with the Samsung Galaxy Note 2 is the Air View functionality, and it's available in a wide array of different applications with the handset. So we'll quickly show you that here. So when you take out the S Pen and you just hover over the display, you'll see a cursor. It's on the display itself. You'll see it right there, and it tracks the movement of whatever you're doing with the S Pen. So if, for example, if we go to the gallery, if we hover over the specific album here, it's going to provide us with some, a closer look into some of the details surrounding that. So if we select it, and again, if we do Air View, it just allows us to get a preview of that. Some of the other places where it actually is found very useful is an email application. So instead of actually, going to the emails themselves, we could use Air View, just hover over something, and it's going to give us a quick preview, which is pretty nice. And the last one where we find it also useful is in the calendar itself. So if you hover over something, it'll give us details as far as appointments and all that. As you've probably noticed, the Samsung Galaxy Note 2 is a speed demon when it comes to its performance. It just flies with pretty much all the tasks we put at it. For example, here we have a live wallpaper running in the background, and you can tell just navigating across the home screen here, it's pretty fluid and smooth, very responsive, and that's attributed to its quad-core 1.6 GHz Samsung Exynos processor with 2 GB of RAM. So it really makes the handset fly. So whether you're doing, simple tasks, opening up applications, if you're surfing the web, playing games, just anything, it just has a really nice snappy feel to it. It's definitely one of the fastest devices out there in terms of Android handsets are concerned, and the benchmark scores really show that as well. Already we've shown you the cool feature found with the email application with the S Pen, where you could actually use its AirPlay function to actually preview emails without actually launching them. But beyond that, there's nothing different about it, except for the fact that with the Note 2's larger display, it just allows for more items to be displayed at once, so there's less scrolling needed. On the other hand, when it comes to Gmail experience, nothing different about it. Same exact one you'll find on any other Android device out there. Unfortunately, it doesn't incorporate the AirView function with it. Plus, with such a large amount of real estate, the Samsung Galaxy Note 2 is the ideal device for typing up messages. It just gives us a great experience. With its keyboards, we're given a very spacious layout, buttons are well sized, and also super responsive. And we like the fact with the Samsung keyboard here is that we're given a row dedicated for just numbers, and on top of that we have quick access to different punctuations by doing long presses, so it's nice. You could use the swipe keyboard as an alternative, but again, with Samsung's offering, it kind of incorporates those swipe movements components as well. And if you want to use the handset with one-handed operation, you could actually get a smaller keyboard with the handset, and you could either make it for left-handed use or even right-handed, so your thumb is able to encompass the entire layout. With T-Mobile's version of the Samsung Galaxy Note 2, it's only enabled for HSPA Plus connections, but we're still able to get some really nice fast data speeds, as much as 10 down and 2 megabits per second up, so very great scores. As far as the other versions for Sprint, AT&T, and Verizon, they are enabled for 4G LTE, so you can expect faster data speeds. But beyond that, as far as the web browsing experience, this is probably the best device for that. Just not only because we're able to get that very great navigational controls, very smooth and fluid connect scrolling and pinch zooming, but with its large display, we're able to see the full website in its entirety without having to even zoom in. Even better is with the S Pen here, and again with the Air View functionality, it mimics the cursor on a PC with a mouse, just because we're able to actually hover over certain things without actually selecting them, which proves to be very useful. No doubt, this is the ideal handset if you're going to be watching high-definition videos, just because when you combine its large display with its fast performance, it just makes for a superb experience. So the video we have here is encoded in DivX 1920 by 1080 resolution. It supports a wide array of codecs out of the box, which is great. And you can tell, moving very quick, fluid, and of course with its Super AMOLED panel, you get those nice saturated colors, which makes it stand out. Again, another cool feature with the S Pen Air View functionality is you can hover over the timeline here and you can get a quick preview of what's coming up, which is again showing its processing power and usefulness at the same time. On top of that, you have the pop-up play feature too that we found on the Samsung Galaxy S3 first, where it actually puts the video, it overlays it on top of whatever. And the cool thing about that is that you could be doing two things at once. You could be browsing the web or writing an email, whatever, and you could even resize this time around the size of the video itself. Samsung has updated the gallery as well here on the Galaxy Note 2, just because with the full album layout here, you could actually switch it between different views, so you have a nice 3D-like effect to it. You have even this cool carousel one here, which again goes to show off the processing power of the handset. And as we mentioned already, you have the Air View functionality as well, where you hover over specific items, and I'll give you a quick preview as to what they are. If you happen to be big on taking photos and videos, you'll surely appreciate the features found with the camera UI of the Galaxy Note 2, just because it has a fair amount of balance to it. An uncluttered appearance, you have only the left and right sides where we find all the buttons, but in addition to that, it has some manual settings that will appease some people, and a host of different shooting modes, color effects and all that really makes it a very gratifying experience. With the video functionality, there's this new mode here. You could set it for shooting video in slow motion or even fast motion, something we typically don't see. And of course, you have the usual array of features. For example, you could simultaneously capture high-definition videos and snap a photo at the same time. And if you hold down the shutter key while taking a photo, it will do rapid bursts, so you could take photos in succession. Even though it doesn't break new ground with its camera, just because it's the same 8-megapixel camera as before, it still is able to produce some pleasant-looking shots. They're more than usable. For outdoor conditions, even macro shots, the handset excels in those areas, as it's able to produce some, sharp-looking details, some saturated colors, which again, has that wow factor, and it handles dynamic range pretty well. In low-lighting situations, though, of course, the quality is diminished slightly, just because there's some evidence of graininess, some softer-looking details. But of course, the LED flash does a great job in actually combating those deficiencies. Likewise, the handset does a phenomenal job when it comes to shooting 1080p high-definition videos, just because it's very lovable in many aspects. You have some sharp-looking details combined with some distinctive colors, and it also maintains a nice 29 frames per second rate. And as you can tell here too, it has continuous autofocus, and doesn't take long for it to adjust that. Call quality is also superb on Samsung Galaxy Note 2, just because with the earpiece, we're able to hear distinctive voices with no distortion whatsoever. Interestingly enough, in noisier environments, you could set it for extra volume mode, which actually cranks up the volume a lot more, which makes it one of the strongest out there, but at the same time, we do notice just a little bit of distortion when it's enabled. As far as using the speakerphone, it's very pleasant and no problems with it at all. During our time checking out the Samsung Galaxy Note 2 for T-Mobile, we didn't experience much fluctuations with its signal strength, nor did it drop any phone calls. Sure, the T-Mobile version is only enabled for HSPA Plus connections, but in all honesty, it provides for some wicked battery life with its 3100 milliamp hour battery. In fact, a fully charged battery managed to get us at least 2 solid days of normal usage, which is exceptional considering the fact that it has a super large display and a quad-core processor. We can only imagine that it's still going to be able to provide some decent results even with LTE connectivity with the other variants. As we've seen, the Samsung Galaxy Note 2 manages to impress us in many ways. It's definitely a top-shelf smartphone in many aspects. Just looking at its spec sheet, it really exhibits the qualities you'd want to find on any high-end device. You have that quad-core processor, super large high-resolution display, great cameras, and well-rounded performance. And on top of that, it's further complemented by the software experience. Even though at heart, it's similar to the Samsung Galaxy S3, but Samsung has made enough enhancements, especially with the S Pen functions, to really make it in a class of its own. You don't find other devices on the market that employ the various features that the S Pen has with the Galaxy Note 2. But the biggest thing about this device, especially the T-Mobile one, is its pricing. With a 2-year contract, you're looking to pay roughly $330 just to pick it up with a 2-year contract, or $650 outright. And at that point, it is a very pricey handset, a lot more than other traditional high-end devices, which typically top out at the $300 mark. But with the money you're paying on this, you're getting an exceptional handset for the size, the features, the hardware. It's really something to behold. So if you'd like to learn more about the Samsung Galaxy Note 2, you can check out our website, guys, PhoneArena.com. It's John V. Thanks for watching.